How about those Jets? Hey, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video before we break down the Jets' impressive 34-3 win over the Oakland Raiders. Just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY, and also if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's jump right into it. The Jets win the toss, they defer. Oakland gets the ball and they pick up a couple of third downs. The Jets on the first drive struggled to get off the field on third down. They end up catching a lucky break as I believe it was Hunter Renfrow dropped a pass that would have been a first down on third down and long. So the Raiders are forced to settle for a field goal to make it 3-0. Now, the Jets, who on their previous 4 opening drives of the game scored a touchdown, were looking to make it 5 in a row, and it looked like they did. He hits Demaryius Thomas, runs it into the end zone, but it was called back for offensive pass interference. Unfortunately, the Jets weren't able to punch it in after that, so they settle for 3, all tied up at 3 after each of the first 2 possessions. Again, for another possession in a row, the Raiders drop another pass on third down. This time it's Tyrell Williams, and that stalls the drive. Now the Jets get the ball back, and they start to move the ball again really good. Adam Gase, as we know, the last few weeks has done phenomenal on the opening series. That continued on the second drive today. The Jets marched right down the field. More of Le'Veon Bell lined up in wide receiver, which was awesome. I think this was probably Le'Veon's best game as a New York Jet in both rushing and receiving. And Sam Darnold ended up running it in for a touchdown from a couple of yards out to put the Jets up 10-3, their first lead of the day. The Raiders would then miss a field goal. The Jets would add a field goal. It would be 13-3 at the half. The Jets had the opportunity to put up even more points right at the end of halftime, actually, or the start of halftime, I should say. But we failed on a long field goal opportunity. A couple of penalties really hurt the Jets. They cost them 14 points. One was the Demaryius Thomas offensive pass interference play. The other one was a big play that I believe went to Montgomery down to like the 1-yard line, and then that got called back because of an Alex Lewis holding penalty. Jets settle for a long field goal attempt. They miss it, and they go into the half up 13-3, but they get the ball to start the second half. Jets had a great opening drive out of halftime because that was the thing. Against Dallas, another game that they played relatively well, they had a great first half. Offense went to sleep in the second half. That wasn't the case today. Sam Darnold hit Braxton Berrios on a 69-yard catch and run to bring it down to the 1-yard line. And then Sam hits Ryan Griffin. He runs it into the end zone. Jets are up 20-3 and absolutely cooking at this point. Raiders offense stalls yet again. Greg Williams really turned it up. He got great play out of Blesson Austin. Again, Jamal Adams was really good. Defensive line was solid. Arthur Mollett was okay. Not one of his better games, but he was more than serviceable. This Blesson Austin and Arthur Mollett 1-2 punch at corner has been the best of the season because you had Trumaine Johnson, Dow Roberts, that went really bad. Nate Hairston came in. He really struggled, but those two, I mean, really, really solid stuff. Jets' next possession, what they're able to do is a trick play. It's kind of like a flea flicker thing. They hand it off to, I think it was Bilal Powell, who then pitched it back to Montgomery, who then pitched it back to Sam, who lofted one down the field to Robbie Anderson, who went up and made a beautiful play on the ball to catch it and put the Jets in the red zone. That would then set up a touchdown to Robbie Anderson. He had 86 yards receiving at this point and a touchdown. He had himself a really good game, back-to-back games with a touchdown. Hopefully this is Anderson getting more involved in the offense. I want to see him finish the year strong, and I want the Jets to bring him back because I think he's a versatile piece to this offense and then build around Anderson, Crowder as your wide receiver trio. 14 seconds later, Derek Carr throws a pick six to Brian Poole, puts the Jets up 34-3, and that would pretty much do it. There wasn't a whole lot of action after that. Both offenses kind of really slowed down. The Jets had their first punt with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. That is just tremendous stuff because this offense, as we know, usually struggles, and the Jets did just a really good job on both sides of the ball. This is probably the best game they played all year from start to finish. Yes, there were flashes in the Dallas game. Yes, they beat up on Washington last week, but this game was just solid from start to finish. The defense, Greg Williams, I mean, you got to tip your hat to him. Big fourth down stop. He had his guys ready to go, and his unit absolutely dominated the Oakland Raiders offense. Derek Carr didn't have that great of a day. Sure, he was hurt by a lot of drops, but Josh Jacobs, who I said I thought the Jets would hold to under 100 yards, well, they did a lot better. They held him to 34 yards. I had a lot of comments on my preview video saying that it was crazy to think that he was going to run for less than 100. I said he'd run for about 75. I was off. He had about half of that, 34. The Raiders ended up pulling Carr, and Glennon was awful. He had 2 fumbles. The Jets pulled Sam Darnold because they were up so big and put Luke Falk in for a possession or two. I mean, nothing really happened. Like I said, 34-3 was your final score. But there were some stats and storylines that I want to get to from this game because it was really all around a well-coached game for the New York Jets. Like I said, Williams was great, and this by far was Adam Gase's best job as a head coach for the New York Jets. By far his best game plan. He had a really, really good day, and so did Sam Darnold, who I really want to get into right now. So after the Jacksonville loss, what happened was Sam Darnold, supposedly, according to The Athletic, went into Adam Gase's offense and brought up some questions with the offense and wanted to work on what they could do better. Well, since that point, the Jets are 3-1. He has 1,098 passing yards, which is an average of 274.5 yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, and an average of a 108.1 passer rating. If you gave up on Sam Darnold, I feel bad for you because I know he had an awful stretch in the middle of the season, but you had to keep in mind, this kid is 22 years old. 22, in an awful situation where his offensive line is atrocious and he's a mediocre head coach. But against the Oakland Raiders, had a really good game. I know they don't have a great defense, but the last 3 games, or the last 4 really, he's put up really, really good numbers. And he flashed today what Jets fans like myself and what the New York Jets thought they were getting when they drafted Sam Darnold 3rd overall. I am glad he is turning the corner. And that's another thing. On Twitter, somebody, I don't remember who it was, so excuse me for forgetting, but they said they didn't understand why some Jets fans wanted them to win games, and because it hurts their draft stock. And normally, I get the whole tanking thing. I understand. But in this circumstance, the Jets have their franchise quarterback. So the most important thing is to develop him. He's only 22. So I would rather Sam Darnold ball out the rest of the year and the Jets finish like 7-9, maybe, let's say, than him play up and down and streaky and they go 4-12 and pick in the top 5. I'd rather pick 10th and have Sam Darnold play phenomenal the rest of the way and show some progression. That's what I would rather. And no matter what, if you're picking 10th, 15th, wherever you end up, just take the best offensive lineman available. That's all you got to do. Today, Darnold was 20 of 29, 69% completion percentage. Nice. 315 passing yards, 10.9 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing, 0 turnovers. That's the most important thing. He threw the ball away when need be. He made 1 risky throw that ended up working out great. He rolled out to the left on 3rd and 2. Probably could have ran for about 10 yards. Instead, threw it to Robbie Anderson in tight coverage. He made the catch. Another great play by Robbie, and he was able to run for a much bigger gain. But a really, really effective day for Sam Darnold, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do next week as the Jets go on the road against the winless Cincinnati Bengals. So the New York Jets find themselves in pretty good shape. Do I think they're going to run the table and go 9-7? No. With their schedule, I think you're more likely to get 6-7 wins probably, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, if Sam Darnold is balling out each and every week and taking steps forward, that's great. That is all you should be caring about if you're the New York Jets this year. And we got an exciting football game. Don't sit here and be upset over it because the Jets are killing their draft stock. Trust Joe Douglas, let Sam Darnold develop, and let's have some fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys next time.